Welcome back to the Division 2. In this video we are covering the official patch notes for TU8/Warlords expansion. There are a lot of things we have covered in previous videos, so I'm not going to be going through the entire list, although I will be leaving a link in the description to the patch notes so that you can check them for yourself if you want to. So starting off with the New York campaign. It's a completely new open world in Lower Manhattan with random world activities, returning factions like the Rikers and the Cleaners. There are 4 new open world named zones, so basically 4 regions: 2 bridges, Battery Park, Civic Center and Financial District. We have covered those ones before. There are 5 new narrative main missions: the Tombs, Pathway Park, Wall Street, Stranded Tanker and a mystery location. There are 8 interlinked side missions to investigate clues that will help you find out more about Keener's operation and his lieutenants. Police Headquarters, Hugh Carey Tunnel, Pier 26, JTF Shelter, City Hall, New York Federal Reserve, Castle Clinton and Doyer Street. The level progression has gone from 30 to 40. We have a new base of operations called Haven. It's a new settlement led by Paul Rhodes. The inhabitants consist of survivors from Lower Manhattan, former JTF soldiers and former police officers, with the latter 2 forming the Peacekeepers. And there's also a puppy. There are reimagined New York factions. The Rikers and Cleaners are back. They've both received upgrades. There are new archetypes. So there's a new elite variant of the Black Tusk. We have 4 new skills: the explosive and incendiary sticky bombs, a tripwire tap and a decoy. There is a wide array of new weapons, brand and gear sets, exotic and named items. Gear 2.0. All weapons, gear and mods have been reworked. All existing items have been converted into the new system. Gear has been converted to only contain the following attributes: weapon damage, skill tier, armor, weapon handling, crit chance and damage, headshot damage, skill damage, repair and haste, armor regen, hazard protection, health and explosive resistance. All brand bonuses have been reworked. There are talents. Every single talent in the game has been reworked. They will now only appear on chest and backpack gear, as well as weapons. All items can have a maximum of 1 talent. There are a load of backpack talents, chest talents, weapon DPS, tank and bruiser, status effect, sustain. There's a lot, so I'm not going to go through all of those, but there is a link in the description if you want to read through those. You have things like glass cannon, which is going to be available on chests. Glass cannon, all damage you deal is amplified by 25%, all damage you take is amplified by 50. If you get it perfect on a named item, it's 30-60 instead of 25-50. All the mods in the game have been reworked. Gear mods now provide 1 attribute. Mask, chest and backpack items can contain 1 mod slot. Generic gear mods have been removed from the game. All gear sets have been reworked. All exotic items and weapons have been reworked. All skills have been rebalanced. Skill power has been removed. Skills now automatically scale with the skill tier attribute. Skill mods now have no requirement to equip. They have reduced the overall loot drop quantity, but item power, quality and quantity now scales more strongly with difficulty. Then there is a developer comment with this one. This change is intended to make loot feel more meaningful. While you will see less loot drops overall, the quality of items you acquire will be higher and you have the option to increase the quality by tackling harder challenges. So when you are playing Division 2, make sure you play the hardest difficulty you possibly can, the hardest content you can, because it's going to be the most rewarding. The Clan Vendor and Cassie Mendoza no longer sell items at maximum power and instead sell items within a high power range above other vendors, so it's going to give you an incentive to actually spend your credits. Items from the crafting bench now have a minimum and maximum power range. For players that stay at level 30, crafting bench scales with player level and requires world tier upgrades to increase the gear score. The 500 score upgrade now raises the minimum of the crafting power range, so if it's 450, that'll go up to like 475 or something. For players that own Warlords of New York and are above level 30, crafting bench scales with player level. Crafting bench is reset to specialized quality upon arrival in New York and will automatically increase back to high end while leveling up to 40. Crafted exotics are no longer crafted at maximum item power and now roll at a higher range than the bench's default. Exotic upgrade blueprints temporarily capped at level 30, gear score 515. All other blueprints can be used to craft items up to level 40, scaling with the player level. Orcs batteries can no longer be crafted. These previously provided the skill power attribute, which has been removed. The missing gear score upgrade blueprint for the chameleon has been added, so if you're looking to increase the gear score for your chameleon, you can now do that with the blueprint. Players now receive an off-screen warning for incoming grenades. Elites are more adept at targeting player skills. Signature weapons now deal reduced damage against named enemies. Cleaners rushes now move slower. Coney Island took a lot out of them. EMP emitted on death from Black Tusk's Warhounds has been decreased in radius, which is incredible because that radius was stupid. There's been adjustments to hostile factions. They've renamed the existing Russia archetype for the Black Tusk and things. They've added 2 new Warhound archetypes. They've increased the health gain per player, slightly increased the armor gain per roll per player, and slightly increased damage per roll per player. There is an infinite progression system in there now. It grants you perk points at regular intervals. I believe it's similar to field proficiency, but is used to improve selected stats and bonuses of your agent. They've streamlined the RPG system with a focus on increasing build diversity, improved accessibility, and making the RPG systems more intuitive. God-rolled items are back and easily identified in the new UI. When you have a God-rolled item, it will pop up with an orange glow across that stat. Skill power now uses a tier system to allow a clear progression and benefits to each skill shown in the UI. Recalibration has received a large overhaul and players can now store attributes extracted from gear and weapons. But remember, if you're saving a stat into your library, that piece that you had it on will be dismantled. Once the stat is extracted, players can use the stored attribute to recalibrate their gear. New achievements and commendations have been added. There are 8 new hunter encounters, 4 in New York, 4 in DC. A normal difficulty Operation Dark Hours raid is now available for level 40 players. All signature weapon pistols now have a level 40 version. They've increased the gunner's minigun damage to make it more effective. It will still require sustained fire to maximise effectivity. The technician skill power talent has been reduced to a single talent which grants skill tier. There's a load of Dark Zone changes. I'm just going to pinpoint a couple of these. There's additional extraction points in every Dark Zone. The XP will only be earned from player-to-player interactions, extractions, and supply drops. All items are now contaminated and show attribute rolls to give players more agency on which items they want to extract. Signature weapon ammo is no longer granted inside the DZ, and already acquired ammo is removed when entering a checkpoint. Thieves' Den vendor has been removed, although there are still vendors available near the DZ gates. Extraction timer is now 90 seconds in all Dark Zones. Surviving Manhunt rewards are not contaminated. DZ intro missions have been shortened and streamlined. Death timer for dying as Rogue Agent or Manhunt is now 15 seconds. Reduce the loss of DZ XP when dying by 50%. You now lose the XP when dying as non-rogue. Killing NPCs inside the DZ no longer grants DZ XP. Added ammunition crates near every extraction site. Clearing a landmark no longer grants DZ XP. Loot quality in the Dark Zones has been increased. And there are a few more. There's now heroic landmarks. There are now project objectives for the DZ. Invaded Dark Zones are now normalized. For progression, they've reduced the maximum number of armor kits that can be carried from 6 to 4. Target intel has been removed from the game. Loot containers that did have it before will now provide crafting materials. Targeted loot areas have been updated to include new gear, weapons and equipment. The E-credit reward for replaying a mission now scales with the player level. Daily bounties no longer require collection from the bounty boards or officers. Bounties no longer require target intel, so once a bounty is being accepted it can be completed. Bounty location selection has been updated. Some rare bounty locations will now activate more frequently. Invasions no longer automatically select a suggested mission every time you enter DC. Agents can now fast travel to most invaded missions, which is pretty cool. Invaded strongholds no longer have a gear score requirement during the world tier progression. Many off-site missions that you had to go to the pilot to access have been moved on the map for easier navigation. Hopefully those missing missions will come back. All difficulty modifiers have been updated to account for the removal of DTE. All missions now have heroic difficulty available once you finish the Warlords campaign. There are 5 new directives coming into the game to increase the difficulty of your, whichever activities you're doing. I believe each one's going to grant an extra 25% XP. And in general, it'll just make the game harder. You have no regen, so your armor never regenerates after an encounter. You have to do it manually. There is now global difficulty. You can set your open world to any difficulty ranging from normal, hard, challenging, up to heroic. When you're playing global difficulty heroic, respawn is restricted. If you die, you die. You either have to wait for your team to wipe, or you have to be rezzed. Changing global difficulty will respawn and reactivate activities in the open world. This allows players to freely reset their activities. Seasons, they have a little mention of that. There's 100 levels. We've gone through all of that before. Then there are a few bug fixes. They fixed an issue causing Dead Man's Hand talent to not trigger properly after several activations and respawning. There was an issue that caused the Lullaby upgrade blueprint to not be available. An issue that caused the stats menu to not correctly close when clicking the toggle view stats button with a mouse. Fixed an issue that could cause players to receive a server transfer message when accepting a DZ group invite. Fixed an issue that could cause players to become stuck in a loading screen when accepting an invite for the Pentagon mission while not having unlocked the safe house off-site. Fixed several issues with props and covers not working properly with player interactions. An issue that could cause DZ server transfers to not work properly under certain circumstances. They fixed some weird walls, and I believe they've also fixed enemies spawning inside walls and closets and stuff, and behind doors. They fixed an issue that caused the Food Aid Operation Campus project to no longer reward the Compensator 556 blueprint, and last but not least, they fixed an issue that caused the Salvager Crew Theatre project to no longer reward the Vertical Grip blueprint. So, hell of a long list, a mega long list, but we have gone through it. That is all the patch notes. Like, remember, if you want to go into more depth, then check the link. It will be in the description so that you can go through the backpack and the chest talents, because there's a hefty amount of talents in there. There's a good explanation for them all, and if you're ahead of the game, you know which talents you want to go for. You're going to have a better time making your build. But that is going to do it for me. I will be playing the expansion soon. No spoilers from me for the storyline, but there will be a load of helpful content for you guys to enjoy. So that's going to do it for this one. Let me know your thoughts and stuff in the comments. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.